Welcome to Melanated and Spiritually Woke. I'm your host, Adorable Earth Angel. I'm a holistic wellness educator of 12 years with a master's in public health, energy healing of 7 years, and have been a Black female spiritual alchemist my whole life. Each week, we'll be sharing uplifting, spiritually focused wellness practices to best support you in regaining your personal power, or we'll have special guest interviews with the same intention. This show is in service to all those listening, and especially for folks of color who are seeking information to support their physical, mental, and emotional spiritual awakening. These practices will help you live your best life. What's up, people? Thank you for coming back to this show once again. As was stated in the introduction, I'm Adorable, and I've been on this particular radio show for a couple of months now. We come to the air weekly on Wednesdays, and this show, as it's been growing and morphing right now in this iteration, is really what you would call like a forecast and a weather report. But the report is more so about the energies that we may be experiencing in this moment. And it's meant to be an uplifting message for those who might be in a lot of transition and are seeking some support and seeking information around spiritual and, as it relates to like justice as well, like this intersection that we find ourselves in. My whole hypothesis is that spirituality has the ability to help us transform our lives, and so that we have the best possible quality of life that maybe wasn't the case for a lot of our ancestors. I don't want to say every ancestor, because I'm sure there were some ancestors of color that were able to navigate and maybe even thrived more than what we might be experiencing. And that's sad to say, because I think in these times, I think the greatest wish for our ancestors was that we had a better opportunity. That's something that I want for future generations. There's things that I've gone through, even, someone who didn't go through the civil rights era, very much, I'm a millennial, and I had my own set of circumstances that I've talked about in previous shows, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, and the height of the crack epidemic, being impacted by that. My own set of challenges that I would not wish upon my children or my children's children. I would want them to have less suffering and more joy and bliss and light. And a huge part of my journey has been around me doing the healing work to cleanse the energy that didn't have the opportunity to cleanse. There's certain laws that are true that we learned very early on. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. And this is like a universal law. This is Newton's law, right? Matter can't be created nor destroyed. And that comes up to me right now. That's the information that just channeled to me right now in this moment. And I think what it has to do with is this fact that many of us have a misperception around what healing really is and how healing really works. And it's it's something that's a bit convoluted to clearly articulate in a 30-minute show. But I want to speak to that because we are very much in the energy of Scorpio. We are in it. I want to say happy birthday to all my Scorpios out there listening in, wherever you are on the planet, because we have people listening in from various places. And to just kind of think about that, like Scorpio energy right now, Scorpio energy is like it's a transformation in our lives that genuinely is new, Or maybe it's something that's old, but it's something that is permanent. It's like a chemical change. It's the energies that are exchanged to produce a child, that type of irreversibility. It's this energy of alchemy, of transformation. And, as I sit with that, and I sit with these times, there's something around healing which is definitely alchemical. It's a transformation. It's something that could be invisible or visible, because healing can have and often does have a visible output, and that our lives improve. But that there is a cycle to it, and there's a rhyme and reason for how it happens. And in these moments, like, what are the symptoms of us going through the stages of healing, so that we recognize that we are in a process, that we're not just like stuck or in a place where, feeling inadequate at the place that we're at, or feeling a sense of anger or grief or sadness or despair or depression or anxiety. And the interesting thing about healing, and this is super generalized, right? Like, this isn't anything that, everyone is going through their own specific process in healing. But the one thing that I've seen historically, and that's pretty common across anyone who talks about their healing process, is the energy of having a dark night of the soul. I've never heard of anyone ever in the history of healing ever not reference some aspect of having a dark night of the soul. And there's something that can be alarming about that. I know for a lot of people who are in their various healing processes, it can be challenging, and we think about Scorpio energy. We're not just talking about something that's super superficial, something that you could just, click your heels and it's done. It's energy that really announces itself. And there can be a depth to it that may not actually be understandable right away. When we're thinking about the healing that's coming up, it may not be something that you can actually perceive and process adequately with the intellect. It's a healing that's something that maybe even, we think about Scorpios, also this energy of death and rebirth, and the energy of past lifetimes, for those of you who may believe in that. But if we will, just to kind of think about that this particular archetype is really connecting with an opportunity within us to heal something that's embedded. And within that kind of portal within us, that secret gate, that door, that hidden energy blockage, there's this opportunity for a brand new day, a brand new start, the rebirth, the phoenix. And right now with the sun in this place, the sun gives energy to this rebirth. The sun gives energy, and it gives an illumination to this hidden quality that we may find ourselves in. And so the beautiful thing about astrology is that there's so many ways in which it plays out, depending on where we are in our timeline and where we are on our healing, like in our healing journey. There's certain things that happen when you're younger. There's certain things that happen in the middle and at the end that are dictated by certain transits. And so it's very nuanced, this relating to this particular spiritual tool and the spiritual practice that, for me is a gift from God. God themselves, like this opportunity to understand and unpack who we are and what we're about, and recognizing that we are clearly more than just our physical bodies, that there's unexplainable and oftentimes really delightful opportunities to expand. But then within that prayer, held and bound within this prayer, is also this recognition. How are we willing to release that energy? And that's when we really feel the human nature of our spirit. So it's this catch-22 in that we are more than physical beings, but the way in which we will experience our healing more than likely will be physical. So it's this interesting thing, because a lot of times when I've gone through some pretty intense healing experiences, I felt my emotions just go so much bigger than I thought my body could process. I felt pain, and tears and screaming and rage. And I felt, just dipping into these deep places to excavate and to excavate. And some of you can really relate to that understanding of excavation. And the thing that kind of holds the thread, because in the excavation and in that sense of suffering and, any type of association that we have with it, the challenge that can come up is that we are taken away from healthy practices as we process. And it's like remembering even through the deep excavation who we are, which can be challenging because who we are is being transformed. There's alchemy. So it's like there has to be this basis of love and self-love. And that's why everyone's so big on self-love practices, is because if we have this basis of self-love, then even as we go through to excavate those deep, deep, deep rooted traumas, we're not going to jack ourselves up. And I say it because I think we know what we're talking about here. We know family members, we know friends, maybe we even do it ourselves. When we're going through a deep healing process, it could be like we just need to sit in front of Netflix and chill. And maybe we're eating food that's we're eating extra food. I know I do that all the time. I'm just like, I need some chips. I need something. And that sometimes that's a go-to to process the energies that are flowing as I heal, as I go through this healing process, as I navigate this energy. And that's, that is like a light version, right? There are people who are actually processing energies in different ways that add more damage to the physical body. So it's like, as we go through the Scorpio, there is this kind of binary process. Either you're going to go towards things that bring you closer to life or closer to death as you go through that portal. As we go through this depth, and as we go through and we allow healing energy to come in, you can either process that energy and smoke some cigarettes and drink alcohol, or you could process that energy and maybe go for a walk, go to the gym. These are the spectrums, and these are the ways in which we are being asked to kind of like evaluate the process itself of healing itself. Like healing itself, what is the process? How are you interacting and engaging with the healing process? What is the support system that needs to be in place to make sure that as you deepen your connection to yourself, that you have safeguards? It is probably promised and guaranteed that as we raise our vibration, that we could bump into things that we didn't know were there. I say this from 110% personal experience and overworking with, hundreds of clients, maybe, hundreds and hundreds of clients over the past 7 years. Maybe a little under 1,000 people at this point. And my understanding is that what I'm seeing is that the energetics of trauma that are captured in this kind of like this concentrated dense energy in our beings, we can't see it. It's something that's hard to even articulate. How would I describe that you have an energetic body, and held within your energetic body is trauma from 7 years old, And then at 38 years old, you're healing, you're doing your process, and all of a sudden that trauma surfaces to be cleared. And the only way it can surface, this invisible trauma, is through a physical experience, aka depression, anxiety, whatever that is, and then that causes tears or rage or some emotions to be moved through that weren't able to be processed at 7 because it wasn't safe. And that is like at the level of healing that can happen right now, that's on offer with prayer. And I've seen it done in gentle ways. I've seen healing come through in gentle ways. Like there's a prayer for that, for everyone listening, that as we go through this transformation, and it's like, well, what's the point? The point is this. The point is that you are on assignment. You are on an assignment. You are here right now on this planet on an assignment. And the assignment is requiring us to level up our frequency. You're on an assignment and there's no turning back from that. If you survive the 2012 energies, that portal that opened up when everyone said, oh, the world is ending, the Mayan calendar, that was a moment where a lot of people left the planet. People exited. Or if they didn't leave the planet, they either chose the light or the dark. And that's kind of where we are right now in our bigger landscape, where we're seeing people who really chose the light and people who really are not doing that. And now all of my light warriors out there, all the earth angels out there listening, it's time for us to take it up another notch. You're here to take it up yet another notch. And it's important. It's important for us to be in a place where we are allowing ourselves to do that healing work. And the only way we can heal those big, big, big wounds is if we've done the little tiny works in between the big works. And what that means is like the little tiny works in between the big works is every day having our prayers, having our mantras, doing the meditation, moving our body, eating healthy food, drinking water, monitoring the type of media we expose ourselves to, the type of friends that we have, what type of events do we show up for. These type of activities, basically our entire lifestyle, gives us access to a new frequency, which gives us access to new opportunities to empower the world with our skills, talents, and abilities. But there's a threshold of energy that we hit. There's a snafu. The snafu is our ability to heal our traumas. Now, I'm not trying to get into like the trauma Olympics here and that, where it's like we're just healing trauma after trauma after trauma. When do I ever live my life? Because that's not the prayer for anyone out there. That's not what I pray for. And I recognize we're all here in a different capacity. We're all here carrying a different karma and a different dharma. And dharma is this Buddhist term of like, what is yours to do? Like, what is your mission? What are you here? What are you here to seed? What are you here to express and explore? And so it's different for everyone. So this show is really kind of making some really big generalizations. But I'm bringing this up right now because I know that a lot of people are coming through that energy. We have Mercury, the energy of our mental capacity, our thought processes, our communication. Any way in which we're trying to take whatever's inside of us and put it out there is going backwards, which means that all the things that we're trying to do to like expel energy with communication is kind of ricocheting sometimes and malfunctioning. Phones, computers, everything electronic can be a little wonky right now. And that's, like there's a lot of patience that comes with that. I've had to redo work, an entire work day of stuff did it wrong, had to redo it, and had to just operate so much patience. And I learned something because it taught me that this one system that I was working with was like really inadequate and like actually it was like enlightening for me. But all this to say for you on your journey, like this moment that started on the 31st of October and will be with us for the next 3 weeks. Sorry, I don't have the exact date in my mind right now. I didn't write that down, but it'll be with us for the next 3 weeks. So you can kind of do the math with that, and the next week I'll talk about the end date for the retrograde. All this is to say, like, right now we have Mercury in Scorpio, so that's Scorpio energy, but it's drilling in. There's this deeper drilling of what's coming up in the mind. What is needed to be completed around the depth of rebirth. So this is a great time. This is a great time to journal, and to journal about, like, where is the rebirth happening? And the thing I love about Scorpio, and I'm a little biased because I'm a Scorpio rising, which means that one of my major signs is Scorpio. I love the realness of it. It's just one of the most realist energies to work with, because it's kind of like, it's like basically like, what is your passion? What are you willing to die for? It's kind of also the energy. Like, are you willing to die for justice? Are you willing to die for truth? And not physically. I'm not talking about physical death, although it does rule that too. I'm talking about, what part of you are you willing to let die? What piece of yourself can just go and you could just be raw and truthful and not have to necessarily keep things on the surface? Because in these times we need as much death as possible, because I'm tired. I think we're all tired through living through some of the things that are just ridiculous. You're like, that needs to die. That needs to go. I'm good with that. Namaste. Goodbye. Just letting things go. And so there is this, like, okay, so what can we let die here? What can we let go of? And we're all a part of creating that opportunity for what needs to be released. And this week is really pivotal energy. We're going to have the week start off with a square, which means that some planets are going to be at odds with each other. It's going to be Pluto and Mars that are going to be squaring off. And that really denotes some transformation that can be forceful, if not thought about in a more enlightened way. What I mean by that is that no matter what I say about astrology on this show, either you're in a place where you're like, yeah, adorable, that's totally my life. Or you'll be like, adorable, I hear what you're saying, but I'm in a good place related to what you're saying. And that's true, because wherever you are on your healing journey, my interpretation could be, for you actually for me, the interpretation of rebirth is exciting. And I'm ready to die. I'm ready to heal this thing. For those listening in a different place, they're like, actually, that terrifies me. And I know what you're talking about, adorable, and I'm not here for this. And it's like, yes, you are. And I'm here with you. And I understand that process. And both versions, no, there's no right or wrong version. There's no better or worse. A lot of people who are having an easy time right now probably had a hard time before. Vice versa. It's like there's no free lunch on this planet. There's some angle that's being worked on us all. And we might, we can't compare our insides to someone else's outsides. We have no idea what's going on inside of people. And then that's the beauty of the Scorpio. It's a very internalized energy, but you know it when you feel it. There's also this energy, within this conflict, there's this opportunity to kind of think about, like, the image that's coming to mind is this energy of like an island. And the island that I invite you to be upon this week, if you find yourself in a place of feeling some conflict at work, with your loved one, with your children, with whomever, I invite you to just imagine that you have there's this island of energy, like around you, surrounding you is this kind of, it's like a white light. We're going to work with white. And this white light is just around you, and it creates kind of like a buffer. And you're just kind of in your own energy. And that's super important, because there's something really cool about the energies coming in and you just kind of being, ooh, you know what it's showing me? Actually, it's showing me it's not so much an island, it's like literally a bubble. I think I've talked about bubbles before. What I love about it is that imagine you're here in this moment and you actually want to be unstuck. You're like, I want to be unstuck. I don't want to be stuck anymore, adorable. And this energy comes in with these planets and they knock against each other, right? And just imagine that, like, those energies knock against each other, and instead of kind of bracing yourself and being hit full on with this impact of energy, you kind of let yourself become this bubble that as things happen around you, you kind of just blow with the energy. Like you kind of flow with it. It's this effective kind of like this, like, you know, this martial arts aikido. It's this idea of like, when something's hitting you, you don't kind of brace yourself and get hit. You let it hit you and you roll into the hit. You roll into that energy, and then it kind of actually can propel you. So there's this energy of like, any conflict that may arise within the transformation, letting it propel you. And not kind of just taking it and internalizing it further. This is not the month to internalize anything, because this is like what's happening is the excavation energy. And we're getting excavated because guess what we're going into after this? We're heading into Sagittarius, which is this jovial, adventurous energy. And so we got to get our excavation on so we can start having an adventure and exploring. And, you know, this is the energy of like, that's the energy that comes up. It's like, okay, now we're going into Thanksgiving and we're getting into Christmas, and there's this kind of jovial holiday vibe. It's about having fun and exploring. But first we got to do that deep inner work. And as we do that, as we kind of remove those deeper energies that feel blocked and that keep us blocked and stuck, what happens is the only thing that's in there now is light. When we excavate and we remove the dark energy, not like dark and like dark in the sense, I would say dense. I don't like to use the word dark because I think that there's this thing around dark and light and black and white. And I for one think black and black people are not dark in a negative way. So I want to say dense. There we go. Because this show is about being melanated and spiritually woke. Okay? So dense energy. So thinking about dense energy and this energy of us moving this dense energy so that we can have a light experience, like a joyful, uplifting opportunity to really enjoy the holiday. A lot of times what happens is, even in the holiday season, you may notice some, like, there's people get sad and like that's a natural thing that occurs, especially once we get towards Capricorn, because Capricorn's like, now now we have to go back to responsibilities, New Year's resolutions, all that stuff. But right now, this is a perfect time to do some excavation work, prepping towards some light, jovial energy. We have Venus already in Sagittarius. Venus is this beautiful, abundant, expressive energy, the expression of beauty, the expression of abundance, the things that we own, the comforts, the creature comforts. And this beautiful planet, she's in Sag. So that's having fun. That's going on a road trip. That's making some light happen, some joy. And so we're already kind of moving in that way. And the thing about Venus is it's a very passive energy. It's about receiving. It's about receiving an adventurous moment in your life. It's about receiving spontaneity and allowing yourself to flow with it and allowing the light to come into your life. Because even though we're here on assignment and we have a lot to do to uplift the planet, we're also here to have a good time. And in us having a good time, we uplift the planet. Isn't that cool? Isn't it cool to know that as you enjoy your life, you contribute to uplifting this planet and making it a better place for you, me, and future generations? Because that, my friends, is what we as melanated people are in need of seeing and experiencing in this lifetime. Maybe our ancestors did not experience the joy and the bliss of being incarnated, and now we get to do that. And so definitely there's work to be done, but let us enjoy the process and roll up our sleeves and be in the bliss. That feels complete. That feels like a really great note to end on. I'm so grateful for you checking this show out this week. Maybe this is your first time listening. Maybe you've listened before. Thank you so much for coming back. And thank you to the folks who are just now joining. I am going to be offering up some music after this. Every week, actually, I make a playlist. I'm a little bit of a DJ myself, and so I invite you to enjoy the music that I've curated for the show. It's new music every single week that I put together. I hope you enjoy the music. I would love for you to interact with me. I'm on Instagram, Adorable Earth Angel. And also my email is adorableearthangel@gmail.com. And if you have any topics or ideas that you want me to discuss on this show, I love to hear from you. I love when people interact with me and they give me feedback and we connect. Please send me an email and let's keep the vibes going and keep uplifting everybody, everywhere, all beings, all day, all the time. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week. We'll be talking more about the astrological vibrations and tools and spiritual practices to stay here and stay woke and stay free. Until next time, so much love and light.